Off, the Pasco County School District wants to extend its condolences to the family. This is a tough time for the Pasco County Schools community. I also want to thank Sheriff Nocco for his cooperation and us, our ability to work together in order to deal with these tragic events. These students attend schools in Hudson. Hudson Elementary School was the school where Brady attended. We had Kevin that attended Hudson Middle School, and then we had Trevor that was, I believe, a 9th grader at Hudson High School. And we have crisis intervention teams at those schools. I also want to point out that Trevor attended Hudson High School in the mornings through virtual education classes, and was also attending Marchman Technical College in the afternoons, I believe, in the culinary program. So we have crisis intervention teams at those sites. At Hudson L and Hudson Middle today, we do not have a crisis intervention team at Hudson High. They are on standby. And we are dealing with students in Brady's first grade class. I went to Hudson Elementary School this morning and spoke to his first grade teacher. And as you can only imagine, she is incredibly upset, as is the entire faculty and staff of that elementary school. We continue to provide counseling for our students and our staff. As the sheriff said, anytime something like this happens, it has repercussions throughout the district. We had, I believe it was Kevin, that had also attended Chasco Middle School. So we are thinking about needing to put at least notifying teachers there about this tragic event. But we continue to work with it. We'll be there as long as we need to make sure that our students and our faculty are taken care of. It's very tragic, but we're working to heal families and students. Thank you.
I keep going back to the fact that there's going to be a lot of things we can't answer at this time because we don't know. We know people out there, when they hear something like this, there's always a reason why. Unfortunately, we can't provide that yet. But is there anything we can answer right now? Right.
Sheriff, you're live right now on News Channel 8, and obviously Trevor is very traumatized, like you told us, but can you tell us how he's physically doing?
Right now, I can tell you he's physically okay. He will survive, thank God. What I can do is have Detective Krause. She's the lead on it. She can provide more of the details because she's been out there.
Just like the sheriff said, he's physically okay, but emotionally he's grieving.
Right. And who is he with right now? His mom?
He's with family.
Okay.
I get that. Going back to that again is, want people aware, think about that, Detective Krause, Detective Rosa, they're out there talking and, they relayed back, his heart rate goes to 185. And I know there's some people out there maybe skeptics at first, and, that's what we have to do, investigate, and they say, oh, that means he may be hiding something. I would say this, you got a 16-year-old who just saw something absolutely, horrific, a living nightmare, and you know what? I would never want to ever tell anybody to be in issues. He's grieving right now. He lost 2 brothers. So I think you should respect the family and, let us do our job, and we'll investigate it. But at the same time, let that 16-year-old grieve.
Can you talk about where the actual shootings occurred, what rooms?
All right. And we're not going to get, unfortunately, that's one of those things we're not going to get into at this time. I go back to the mother doesn't even know yet. The mother doesn't have those details. As we try to discuss, as Gina was with her last night, all throughout the night, working with her, talking with her, she can't handle that right now. She emotionally and physically cannot handle that right now, and until she can, we want to make sure she's the first to know.
We understand that the 16-year-old survivor may have been on social media talking about what happened. Is that true?
All right, Detective.
Not from our knowledge, not the 16-year-old that he's been on social media. I believe other family members may have been.
Did the mom know about the gun? Did she say anything about that?
As far as right now, anything with the gun, that's still under investigation.
she's been described as a good mother, a hard-working mother. Had there been any previous contact to DCF or the agency or your agency with the family in any way before?
No, not that we have found.
Have you been able to really get into what the 13-year-old's mental state was at the time?
That's still under investigation.
Mr. Brennan, could you tell us about your interaction with the first grade teacher this morning? What you said to her and what, if anything, she might have said to you about the victim in this case?
Obviously, it was a very quick conversation. She had students that she was attending to, and I would ask her to come out of the classroom so I would not be disruptive. Obviously, she was very emotional, very upset, crying, as I would be crying, and as I was talking to her, fighting back tears myself. I don't know these kids, but I will tell you, superintendent, it's hard not to have these my kids. And so, and not just his first grade teacher, but the entire faculty and staff were very, very sedate, obviously. I'll be heading to Hudson Middle School after this press conference this morning to check in on staff there. I just got notified that the two younger boys had been students at Fox Hollow Elementary School. And that staff, I've just been notified, is incredibly upset. So there's another, just since I've been standing here, that's another school that we will need to send a crisis intervention team into to deal with them as well. So
Tell us about the process. You know, how do you help faculty, staff through these times?
Well, I think that we're very attentive, and sometimes we will seek students out. If they're close classmates, we will seek them out and just have a conversation with them. We will observe. We will watch behaviors of kids and behaviors of adults. Adults obviously are probably more in tune with knowing they have someone they can talk to, as opposed to students, particularly first graders, where you have to let them know that if they need someone to talk to, you can talk to your teacher, you can talk to staff, and we'll give staff names, so it's somebody they have a relationship with. I've said all along, it's all about relationships. Everything we do in the school district is about relationships. And so it's building those relationships with those teachers, those counselors, administrators, as well as us building those relationships with those parents of the children we serve. So just being attentive and being watchful. And if we see signs of kids that aren't able to cope, adults that aren't able to cope, we are very, very proactive in that.
Sure. Any indication that the mother or any adults in the house are culpable because the gun was available to the kids?
Yeah, that goes back to part of the investigation. I know people hate hearing that. It's unfortunate the process that we go through. And as I said, first of all, we haven't been able to talk about that with the family. The grief is too overwhelming for them. I can tell you anything they try to ask questions, they're breaking down. I mean, we understand that, and so we have to respect that, and we have to understand that from an investigative standpoint. When they're in that state, you may not be getting all the accurate information. The other thing too is we don't want to go into details because we will be asking questions. So we don't want to put anything out there right now that people may be trying to jump ahead of time when we start asking them questions. So that's why we want to make sure that what we tell you is accurate. We want to make sure that what goes out there respects the family during this grieving process, and it also has to respect our detectives through this investigation.
And how is the deputy doing who walked in on that?
There was actually several, though. The first one was Sergeant Roy. He was the first one, and then we had several others that went in. I can tell you there's been several members of command staff. We were out there last night. And for us, part of the process is you try to get them just to talk about something, after everything's done and secure and we're off to the side, we try to talk about things that, try to take their minds into somewhere that is positive. So we start talking about different things. At the same time, we reinforce to them is that getting counseling, talking to somebody, it's okay. Unfortunately, fortunately, our military has done an outstanding job. They talk about, post-traumatic stress, and there's nothing wrong about that. And I think it's absolutely great that our military has gotten to that level. First responders, we're still not there yet. We still struggle to the fact that admitting that people have post-traumatic stress. So that's what we talk about. Say, hey, when we tell them, hey guys, please go. We tell them, you need to go. Actually, one deputy went back to his house, and we sent somebody to his house to go get him to make sure that he was okay, because it's that critical. So I think as we go through the process, you know, everybody, of course, I mean, we're in law enforcement. We have a little bit of a persona that we think we can handle anything. At the same time, we also have to realize that we're human beings. And, you know, our command staff can be able to come across and talk to them one-on-one and say, hey, look, I'm suffering right now just hearing what you're telling me. I can't imagine what you went through. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong. We say, we're telling you, you need to go. Because it may not affect them that night. It may not affect them 2 weeks from now. It may affect them 6 weeks from now, 6 months from now. We don't want their personal lives. We don't want their families destroyed because of this horrific scene. But the sad reality is, and I hope our citizens truly realize this, is that we're humans. You know, a lot of times when you run into a deputy, you don't know what they just saw. You don't know what they just been through. And, you know, we just keep asking you to pray for them. And as Superintendent Browning said, you know, our condolences go out to the family. They absolutely need your prayers. And along with them is everybody who's been at that situation, our forensics investigators. I mean, think about the duty of a forensics investigator being at that scene. Our detectives, our victim advocate. There's a lot of pressure on us, but I can tell you I'm extremely proud of our team because day in and day out, they prove they are an unbelievable team.
Sheriff, to that end, you've had several incidences of mass killing here in the last few weeks or months.
Right.
Are you concerned at all, you know, as the sheriff, that your detectives are maybe overburdened at this point, or
Right.
that, you know, I mean, you've got a lot of cases to wrap up. How do you handle that?
Oh, I agree. You know, over the past, it seems like over the past year or two, I mean, that's the thing. These detectives, this goes back to personnel, making sure we're properly staffed, making sure that they have the ability to take vacation days. We have units that are on call. They're basically on call for a month at a time, and they don't stop. We just had a horrific scene last night. What may not be out there is that while this was going on and we're at the scene, there was a son who stabbed his father in the face several times. So detectives got pulled to that case. Later on that night, we had a drive-by shooting into a house. Detectives were getting called to that case. They don't stop. Our deputies don't stop. And this goes back to, and I appreciate the point, you know, concern as a sheriff. I'm absolutely concerned, and that's why I'm out there, and I will stand up for these people day in and day out. Our team does a great job. At the same time, they need the biggest cheerleader possible to make sure they get the resources they need, and I'll do that job because my job is to support them, because I tip my hat off to them and I pray for them every night and every morning because I'm blessed to have an outstanding team that I get to work with.
Sheriff, can you just go through again what that first deputy who arrived, what he heard when you got there?
Yeah, we can get you some part of the audio. What we can release is right now it's an ongoing investigation, but you know, talking to him, talking to the detectives, you know, he arrives on scene. All he's really getting off the calls, because everything is high pitched, calls are going on, is that there was a shooter. You know, it could be an active shooter going on right now, even though it comes across. You may hear something now, but you know, your heart rate isn't pumping. You're not going there. So he goes on scene. He knows he has a shooter. He knows he has victims, and you know, sometimes the information doesn't get relayed properly. So he's not aware if that active shooter is actually down yet or not. So he's outside. He posts up. There's actually a Jeep that was outside. He posts up on that Jeep. He hears. It turns out it was actually Trevor, 16-year-old Trevor, inside screaming, "I've been shot! I've been shot!" You know, we're always trained with active shooter. You know, you go into this team. There's also times you have to make that decision, and I tell you, it was a brave decision because you know, you see it. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. There's people that ambush law enforcement. They set up these type of scenarios and they ambush us. He risked his life to go in there and try to preserve life. And so I can tell you, you know, we made sure we talked to him. He's a very, very good sergeant. And so I know he's a great leader out there, but the stress and pressure, I can't describe what that is. It's only those that have actually been through that, how horrific it is. That split-second decision saying, I may not make myself out of here, but he put his life on the line. I think that's something that is great about the law enforcement men and women in our profession, is we're willing to put ourselves out there.
And did you say he heard a gunshot too when he got there?
No, he hadn't heard. He said, I've been shot, yeah. Somebody had said, I've been shot.
It's not easy being a single mom with 4 kids. Can you put in perspective the length she was going to? We heard maybe she worked 2 jobs.
I'll let our supervisor of victim advocate unit Gina Dean get to that. Gina spent some time with her, and I can tell you, Gina was the one who told me about how hard of a working person this is. So I'll allow Gina to go into that.
I'm sorry, your question again?
Can you talk about the character of the mom? We heard she had 2 jobs and was going to great lengths to take care of her kids.
She was, and she mentioned that, of course, through the trauma, but I mostly received that information from her friends, close friends, and family around her that I spoke with.
Can you speak to that? Can you tell us what they told you?
Just that she was a hard worker, and everything about her was about her children, and she did everything for them, and that's all she did was work and provide for them. They were her life.
Do you know if Trevor was it normal that he prepared meals for the family and for the kids?
I don't know. That's part of their investigation. I don't know.
Can we talk about the 18-year-old? Did he help her take care of the family, or did he live there?
He lived there, but that wasn't discussed, the family roles at the time.
What was his name?
We don't.
We're not.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to release the 18-year-old's name. He was not at home at the time. There was really involved in this sad incident. He was not engaged in it, so we just want to kind of keep him out of it. If the family wants to release that information, I'll allow them to do that. And so, yeah, we're not going to release his name right now.
Can you spell out those last names?
Yeah, Pimentel. It's Pimentel. That was the last name for the 3 boys. And then Helen's last name is Campochiaro.